What's going on, Buckeye Nation? Andy Evans here with the Columbus Wired post-game recap. And it is official. The game is over between the number 2 Ohio State Buckeyes and the 5-5 Minnesota Golden Gophers. And I wish I had some better news to tell everybody tonight, but I don't. And that is Ohio State failed to pitch a shutout by a final score of 37-3. Yeah, Buckeyes unfortunately gave up a field goal. Second team defense out on the field for a good portion of the second half. About halfway through the fourth quarter, the Gophers were able to get down into OSU territory. Had made it, I believe, down to like well, let me see. What's 54 minus 17? That's the, 37-yard line? Does that sound about right? Because it was a 54-yard field goal that the Gophers had to make to get their first and only score of the game on the board. Otherwise, the Buckeyes would have had shutout number 1 on the season, but unfortunately, they gave up 3 points. 434 total yards for Ohio State on the night. 219 through the air, 215 on the ground, almost a dead even tut-a-tut there. They went 10-16 tonight on third down. Minnesota, the defense, the Buckeyes that is, held Minnesota's offense to a season-low 159 total yards. Their previous season low came against you-know-who, that team up north, at 169 yards. Instead now, 159 is now a season low for the Golden Gophers on the year. Kyle McCord on the night, not too bad. 20 of 30, 212 yards, 2 touchdowns. Took a sack for a 7-yard loss on the last play of the first half. They were kind of trying to rush it. Ryan Day, I think maybe they probably should have just sat on the ball, quite frankly. But at that point, the offense was looking a little anemic. It was a 13-0 lead for the Buckeyes at the end of the first half. I think Ryan Day was kind of trying to see what was going on. They got a first down on that series, run by Travion Henderson. And unfortunately, the next play, Kyle took a 7-yard sack. And he was also a little off. I mean, 20 of 30 on the night. I mean, that's 66%. That's pretty much an average, right? A good average. However, there were a couple of throws that he missed. There was one in particular, I remember, he had Marvin Harrison wide open up the left side. Corner came on a blitz, left Harrison wide open. Safety was a little late coming over to coverage. If he had just seen Harrison, boy, he would have had him for a touchdown. There was also a drag route that he hit Xavier Johnson kind of over on the left side. I believe it was in the third quarter. Wasn't a bad pass. I mean, he completed the pass to Johnson. However, he had Fleming wide open over the top. He gets it over the top to Fleming. I think Fleming scores. So two missed touchdown passing opportunities for McCord. But nonetheless, still not a bad night for the junior. But really, Travion, he was the man of the game. 15 carries, 146 yards, 2 touchdowns, as well as 2 catches for 26 yards. His second TD of the game came on the very first play of the second half. They came out of the locker room, handed it off to Trey, and I mean to tell you, the explosive moves that he showed on that run. I'm telling you what, folks, right now, I have not seen Travion Henderson run like this maybe at all in his entire OSU career. I mean, even at the beginning of this season, even the Notre Dame game, call me crazy, I just did not see the spark and the step from Travion that I am seeing since he came back in the Wisconsin game. I mean, he looks like a totally different player, and the explosive moves he showed on that 75-yard touchdown run, it just blew me away. I mean, he made a couple of cuts in the open field, and boom, he was gone 75 yards, which is now a career-long rushing touchdown for Travion. Marvelous Marv, the money man. Quiet night, 3 catches, 6 targets, 30 yards, did have a touchdown catch, which was a 4-yarder on their second drive of the second half, after the Buckeyes recovered a fumble, which I'll get to here in a second. He's now got 13 receiving touchdowns on the year, though, which ties him for first in the country. So, yeah, the stats are not going to help that dark horse Heisman campaign, but at least he still got a touchdown, and he's now tied for first in the country. So take tonight for what it's worth. Maybe they're just kind of laying low on him and conserving him for next weekend, right? Maybe. Probably not. Emeka Buka, though. Kyle McCord said that he thought Emeka looked as good as he has looked in the last few games since coming back from his injury, where he missed Purdue, Penn State, Wisconsin. Well, he was hurt during Purdue, missed a good majority of that game, missed Penn State, missed Wisconsin, came back against Rutgers. Last couple of weeks, he has looked a little kind of, maybe just a little touch and go with Mech. But Kyle McCord said in his post-game press conference, he told Emeka that he thought that Emeka looked the best that he's looked since coming back from the injury. 5 catches, 83 yards. Farmer Gronk, Cade, yeah, right, Cade Stover. 4 catches, 26 yards. Had a 1-yard TD catch, which was touchdown number 10 for him in his Ohio State career. And that touchdown catch, the very last play that he was involved in here in Ohio Stadium, and Kyle McCord said afterwards it was pretty cool to throw that touchdown catch to Cade, because it was probably the last play ever that Cade is going to have in an OSU jersey here in Ohio Stadium, because chances are good, even though he's got a year of eligibility, he's got that free 2020 COVID year, he could technically come back, but chances are probably good that he's not, and that was the very last play he's ever going to have here in the Horseshoe. And Kyle said it was pretty sweet to be able to have him involved in that. And after today's game, Cade Stover now 1,000 career receiving yards, which doesn't seem like a lot, right? I mean, dude was here for 5 years, and he had 1,000 total receiving yards in 5 years. But take this into account, that he is now only the 3rd tight end in Ohio State history to have 1,000 career receiving yards. Something special about that. So congratulations, big congrats to Mr. Stover. But the defense, once again, only allowed a field goal, and that was because the second team's unit gave up a little bit of room there midway through the fourth quarter. Otherwise, second team unit, actually, they played a pretty good game. But the guy who had probably the best game of his entire career up to this point was Jack, Mr. Sawyer, the junior defensive end from Pickerington North. 6 tackles tonight, including a career high, 3.5 tackles for loss. One of them was a 3-yard strip sack. Here's where the fumble comes into play. He strips the ball from Ethan Kaliakmanis. I like to say Kaliakmanis. But I was hearing it pronounced Kaliakmanis, whatever. He stripped Minnesota's quarterback, and JT, his boy on the other side of the defensive line, scoops it up, starts running towards the end zone, almost got in, but was tackled at the last second. And you're probably wondering, like, what was going on there, because JT kind of scooped up the ball and almost was, like, looking around and didn't know what to do, and then he, like, took off running. Well, Jordan Hancock was asked afterwards what was going on with that play because he was standing like right next to JT. According to Hancock, he actually told JT, flip me the ball, lateral it to me. I'll run it in the rest of the way. But he said that apparently JT didn't hear him, and hence kind of some confusion going on and why JT was tackled at the 6-yard line for a 16-yard fumble return. But nonetheless, then, that's when McCord, a couple of plays later, found Harrison for the touchdown. Yeah, that was a great, kind of a comedy of errors kind of play. But nonetheless, they get themselves a strip sack. Only the 4th forced fumble on the year for the Buckeyes. So that's kind of crazy. Actually, I think it was the 4th recovered fumble. I think they've forced a couple others that they didn't recover, but I believe that's only the 4th recovered fumble on the season for the Buckeyes. My apologies. Jordan Hancock, by the way, 2nd interception on the season. Got that pick, stepped right in front of the receiver, said he read the route great. It was like one of those plays, though, that he just kind of had to, like, go for it. You know, he's like, it's one of those plays where if you miss, you're going to miss badly, so do not miss badly. He didn't, stepped right in front of it, almost returned that for a touchdown, but was pushed out of bounds, and then that huge brouhaha celebration where, like, half the team was penalized after the play for an unsportsmanlike conduct. He said he got a little bit of an earful when he got to the sideline. It wasn't like necessarily an earful so much. It's just like, hey, you know, we understand that you're happy and that's cool and you guys can all celebrate and whatnot with each other, but don't ever do that when we are playing a team like you-know-who come next weekend. If that were to happen, like in a game like that, now we're going to chew you out. But otherwise, all right, have a little bit of fun with it, but just remember next time to kind of reel in your expectations. So good to see, though, Jordan Hancock with interception number 2 on the year. Said that that's been his first multi-interception game since his senior year in high school, and that would make sense because he really hasn't played the last 2 seasons here at Ohio State. But him in that slot, man, he's dangerous. He has been super, super dangerous this year. Now, speaking of defensive guys, Tommy Eichenberg, we of course did not see him tonight, but Ryan Day said in his post-game presser, if you missed it, he will play next weekend. He was not adamant, but he was very for sure about that. So expect number 35 to be on the field for the Buckeyes next weekend in Ann Arbor. He said that for sure. Didn't go into specifics, though, about other guys, but he basically said that he expects them to be, like, ready to go. In fact, what did he say? Okay, I didn't write down exactly what he said. But he didn't get too specific. He was asked about Mike Hall, and he said, well, you know, I don't really want to try and, you know, guesstimate too much about other guys, but he did say Tommy Eichenberg will be back next weekend, so we know that for sure. But coming into today, very interesting about Tommy Eichenberg. He said that Tommy really, really, really wanted to play, and it makes sense because it was senior day, right? And Tommy's probably not coming back next year, right? And so this was Tommy's last opportunity to play in the Horseshoe. Think about it. The last 2 home games, Tommy Eichenberg did not play. And the previous 2 games before that were on the road against Rutgers and Wisconsin. So Tommy Eichenberg has not played in this stadium since, God, what would that be? Would that have been Penn State? My goodness, has it been that long? Yeah, so you kind of feel for Tommy. And in fact, Ryan Day said they had a fist fight. Not obviously a literal fist fight, but more of a late night sparring session via text where I guess Tommy was being very adamant that he wanted to play in this game, and Ryan Day was being very adamant that he wanted to keep him held back and healthy as possible for next weekend. And Day said, ultimately I won, but it was definitely a sparring session of sorts with Tommy Eichenberg. So good to hear, though, he's going to be suiting up next weekend against the Wolverines. So, folks, that'll do it for me. I am going to get on out of here and leave everybody else to watch a little more college football for the night. Unless you're watching this on Sunday, then enjoy your NFL games. Otherwise, as always, I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this, spread the love, and until the next time, everybody take care. Go Bucks.